Folie, it roughly translates, it's a mental illness. It translates to madness of two. And it's by me. Introduction. It is very popular in popular culture. It's a well-known illness. It's very, very rare. Recently there was a movie, Joker, the Joker #2. It was called Folie à Deux. It wasn't very popular, but pretty much Folie à Deux is where one person who is crazy, and I mean like has a mental illness, convinces another person they're close to that their delusions exist, and it makes the other person delusional. So it can happen with anyone. It can happen with parents, parents and children. It can happen with more than two people. It can happen with couples. It can happen with best friends. Any two people that are really close. They think it can happen online, like with AI. People, mental illness, and it makes, a person go crazy. So that's what that picture signifies. In this picture, it signifies how one person's ideas and delusions spread to another and then mix. Usually there's one person who's a little bit more extreme. That's the person who was originally, had schizophrenia or mental health issues, and then the other person theirs is a little less extreme, so maybe they don't hear voices, but they believe whatever the person believes, and they're still not thinking clearly. So, and I'll get done with the introduction, but this couple, he was a crazy one and she was a less crazy one, but she was diagnosed with Folie à Deux due to him, and he later died up on a mountain. And pretty much the therapist said, yeah, this is nuts, living up on a mountain by yourself at the age, it's gonna kill you, and it killed him. So, but once he died, she had a stroke and ended up in a nursing home. So, not a happy ending, but at least she didn't die on top of the mountain. This is a very famous case. This is the Trump family. They are from Australia. As you can see, they went from Melbourne and went to a lot of different places. They all split up, but the parents were originally the delusional ones, and they spread it to their kids, and they believed that they were being tracked by a tracker. And so these are the two parents, Jacoba and Mark, and the son was the only one who wasn't really affected. But later, the two girls escaped, and one of them actually stole a car. But this is them talking to the media, and the last person they captured was a husband, and his brother, a police officer, actually caught him. And there, you can't really see, but he's flipping off the police, and it's covered up because, he's flipping the bird, and that's not necessarily appropriate. And then the Slender Man case, you've probably heard of it. It's very well known. Two girls went in the woods and stabbed their best friend. Their friend didn't die, but they got sentenced. And one of them recently got released, but the other one is still in jail. And she actually ran away recently in 2025 from Wisconsin, but they caught her in Illinois. That's her getting rearrested. And that's a memorial like around where the girl got stabbed. And there's Slender Man. He's an online figure, and if you don't know, the reason why they stabbed their classmate was because one of the girls convinced the other girl that Slender Man was real, and that they were going to give their classmate up as an offering to Slender Man. And that's the parents of one of the girls on Good Morning America. And then Mr. and Mrs. J, I don't have a picture of them. It was in a scientific journal, which is why I don't know their last name. It was just the first letter in their last name. They moved to Australia in the 1950s from Europe. Both of them have been survivors of the Holocaust. One was actually in Auschwitz, and so they both have a lot of trauma and mental issues from it. And they believed that their neighbors hated them and were torturing them essentially by like making loud noises, and the husband could feel like tingling sensations all across his body, like stabbing sensations he believed that were given to him by his neighbors. And she, but they thought it was from doing mundane tasks, so like laundry, so that's why I have her up there. But they were given medication, but it didn't really help. The wife showed a little bit of improvement, but they were still pretty delusional. So that's Mr. and Mrs. J. And in conclusion, it could happen to anyone. It's, like I said, very popular in popular culture. Like, there's a reference to the election when that was going on. Personally, I don't like either one of them, but I like her more than him, so just don't look at that dude. But, yeah, like I said, AI, very common. Like, there's romantic relationships now. People are getting in romantic relationships with AI. I read that in New York Times fairly recently. And yeah, a lot of people have done a lot of artwork inspired by Folie, and this was another case with these two boys with Folie, and it was deadly. And then, yeah, the causes, untreated mental illness, like I said, social isolation, like the couple up in the mountains, type of relationship, like I said, close relationship, stressful events like the Holocaust. So, in conclusion, that's Folie in a nutshell.
Thank you.